may have come across, and the intention may be to share something that is new with the people. So something that hasn't been shared before. So they feel excited to want to share certain information they may have come across, or certain knowledge they may have come across, as opposed to speaking about generally what most people have heard already, or most people have understood. So they feel, oh, ek wil iets different praat. Ek wil nie praat wat almal klaar gepraat het hier. Something that everyone already spoke about. Must be something different. I must pull something very, what is it? When you pull it out of your head, pull out. You must pull something, huh? No, leave the rabbits alone. Anyway, they want to like speak. They want to share something new, something that may have not been shared before. But the reality is that guidance doesn't come from telling nice stories and sharing new things. But the guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's, if one sees the speech of many of the Habaib, I mean, those who travel to Tarim, or those who have even attended some of the classes here, most of the things that they share is just general information. It's just general, it's nothing you have not heard before. Most of it. Except that, as we mentioned last week, that it's different between a person who shares it and he's sharing it based on what he read in the book, and a person who shares it based on what he has experienced, his hal, and his spiritual state. And therefore, Imam Ibn Ata'illah Secondary said, like we mentioned last week, كل كلام يخرج وعليه كسوة القلب الذي منه برز. Every speech that comes out carries with it the cloak or the garment or the light of the heart that it comes from. And therefore, if it's the kalam of a salih person, if he could share simple things, ordinary, normal things, but because the state of his heart, it has an extreme, immense impact on the hearts of those who are listening. وقال الشيخ القطب عبد الله بن علي الحداد رضي الله عنه: أمران ينبغي أن لا يذكر للعامة ولا يسمعوهما، دقائق العقائد ودقائق الأحكام، فإنك لو تتبعتهم فيها لما رأيت صلاتهم صالحة على المذهب من إخراج الضاد وغير ذلك، بل إذا حملهم مذهب فاتركهم على ما هم عليه، وإلا شددت عليهم ولا أمكنك أن تحصل منهم المطلوب. وكذلك في العقائد لا تذكر لهم شيئا من الخفايا فيها، بل ترى أحدهم يقول الله معنا الله ناظر إلينا ونحو ذلك، فاكتفي منهم بذلك. Imam al-Haddad, he says that two things that one should not be speaking to the general masses about: the technicalities of Aqidah and the details or the finer technicalities of Ahkam, of Fiqh. He says if you were to really go into detail, then you would find that many of these salahs would actually be invalid according to the madhab, such as the incorrect pronunciation of the dad, by way of example, and other than that. For instead, if there's a madhab, any madhab, if there's any madhab that acknowledges or regards what they are doing to be permissible, then leave them to that. بل إذا حملهم مذهب فاتركهم على ما هم عليه. If there is a madhab that is sufficient for them, meaning there's another madhab or another view or even a weaker view in the madhab, then leave them. وإلا شددت عليهم, else you would be unnecessarily making things difficult for them. وكذا في العقائد, similarly in aqidah, in matters of belief and creed, don't mention to them and don't discuss with them the technicalities thereof. You would find at times some of them would say Allah is with us, Allah is watching over us. So suffice, that is sufficient for them to understand. Meaning you don't have to go into the details of the meaning of what does it mean when Allah is with you. Is Allah physically? Does he even though many of the scholars of Aqidah. And some of the scholars, they regarded to be the essentials of Islam to understand those meanings, and where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, and does Allah ta'ala does not take up any space, and nor is He confined, limited to time. But for the general masses that understand, and Allah is with you, suffice, that is sufficient for him. Allah nadirun ilayna, Allah is watching over me, that is sufficient. فَاكْتَفِ مِنْهُمْ بِذَلِكَ. Al-Imam al-Haddad, many of the times you'd find that the Salihin, the Awliya, would speak about the importance of bringing some sort of leniency to the general masses, in order not to cause them to become despondent or to leave them in a state of despair when it comes to the deen. Because many of them, the practice or the level of practice is of such a nature that if they were to come to know some of the details, they may leave it out completely. So you would find that they would look at the condition of the person, and they would advise him based on his condition. And therefore the Prophet ﷺ, when he advised some of the Sahaba, some of his advice was very, very basic, and some of his advice was more comprehensive, depending on the level of the Sahabi that asked the question. Al-Imam al-Haddad, one person asked him, and he says, "Ma madhabuk?" What is your madhab? And so he says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَقُولُ كِتَابُ السُنَّةِ. I wanted to say my madhab is the Quran and the Sunnah. But then I said, madhabi, he said, أَنَا شَافِعِي الْمَذْهَب. فَكَاشَف. So one of the saints who were present, they made kashf. فَكَاشَفَهُ أَحَدُ الصَّالِحِينَ. So he told him, why don't you say just what you wanted to say? Madhabi al-Quran wa Sunnah. Why did you say madhabi, that I'm Shafi'i? So he says, because Imam al-Haddad reached that level in terms of his ijtihad, that he was able to directly derive from the Quran and the Sunnah. And so the Salih person, he was in the presence of Imam al-Haddad, and then he told him, why did you say you are Shafi'i, mother? Why didn't you say the Kitab and the Sunnah? So he says that I didn't want to create a fitna. I didn't want to create a fitna. وقال نفع الله به ما يتكلم في القضاء والقدر وفي الرجاء مع العامة في هذا الزمان إلا أحمق. It's only a silly person, it's an ignorant person that will speak about the intricacies or the details of predestination and decree with the general masses. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِذَا ذُكِرَ الْقَدَرُ فَأَمْسِكُوا. When matters of decree or predestination is mentioned, then withhold and don't speak. Don't go into the details and the intricacies of it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the knowledge of the Salihin, and to grant us to make amal upon what we learn, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us al-ilm al-ladunni, knowledge that is with Him, Ya Rabbal Alameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us in the ranks of the Salihin, in the ranks of the Awliya. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us to be in the company of the Salihin, in the company of the Awliya, in the company of the Master of all of them, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in this dunya and the barzakh and the day of Qiyamah. With these intentions, the intention made the Salihin, the intentions of our teacher Sayyid Haib Zain bi al-Fatiha ila hadrat al-Nabi. ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا ربي علمنا الذي ينفعنا ربي
يا
نحظى بالخير ونكفى كل شر ربنا، واصلح لنا كل شؤون، وأقر بالرضا منك العيون، واقض عنا ربنا كل الديون، واغفر استر أنت أكرم من ستر، وصلاة الله تغشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا والوفاء، بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء، وعلى الآل الكرام الشرفاء. اللهم اهدنا بهداك، واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك، ولا تولنا وليا سواك، ولا تجعل بالمصطفى رسولي بكل سوري